to see the school I believe the next year, because I know the secretary.
And that's what we so much. We live very near there, so.
Oh, do you?
I'm sure.
Parking is usually an issue.
Yeah, like it came with me on board.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this some sort of fluke or something? And then I opened up my Twitter and the first video I got was like the live. It's 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and start the planning meeting. We're gonna start with strategic plan. Jason?
Yes, thank you. And so I think I have the first four items, five really. The first, I'll roll through those, and if there are questions along the way, please stop me. And so we always want to talk about updates related to our strategic plan. So couple updates. One is related to our parent and student engagement survey. And it was our first year last year doing that survey. And we always want to take time to reflect on how it went and also consider things that we could do differently or better. So this morning, actually, Chris Malloy and I met with Derek Gottlieb, who we've met here and walked us through the data, to do those two very things. Talk about how the survey went and talk about opportunities. One of the opportunities that really surfaced was ensuring that the alignment of our questions to our core values. One of the goals of those the student engagement survey. And Derek has some ideas of how we can better align those questions. And so he's going to bring some ideas when he has those fleshed out, and connect with Chris Malloy and I. We'll talk through those revisions, and then when Chris and I are comfortable and Derek are comfortable, I'll bring those here for consideration and conversation. So just an update on. I think I've mentioned it before, but our core value posters are getting distributed to our schools, and that's an exciting piece to see when I visit schools. I also been using our core values in some of our communications, connecting it to even technology. An example is that I crafted a message related to Chromebooks and how to treat a Chromebook, and I used our core values as the platform for those discussions. So we're looking for connections to our strategic plan when we communicate as well. And then the last update I have on strategic planning is, I think last time we were together, I mentioned the development of a data team that Chris Malloy and I were thinking about. And we've identified some folks at every building and we've reached out to, and I think we're just waiting on a couple responses from people. But we have mostly unanimous, a willingness to participate in a data team. And it would be the first time we have such a big. And the idea is that on the first week of every month, our director team and principals will see some data set. The next week, that data team will look at that same data set and specific to their buildings. And we really want to just model that collaborative process of looking at data, and also encourage those folks to bring that data back and the processes to their buildings. So we're still working through the finer details of that, but it's exciting endeavor that Chris Moore and I will engage in. Questions about strategic plan? Okay. Thank you. Next to it, kind of combined budget planning and long-term facilities. I have 4 things that I wrote down here. The first one is that we know that the lion's share of these conversations related to budget, referendum, and long-term facilities are really going through our fiscal committee. I think it's important to bring it here just as updates. The second is that we know that this evening, actually, we're gonna connect with Derek Gottlieb to continue the conversation about those community surveys. And that's an important next step. And we also know that many conversations are undergoing right now about the future of our district. The last thing I wrote here is that we've calendared some community engagement events. And so last year was our first dabble in that. I think we had 3 or 4 of those community engagement sessions. The Marquardt and the Senior Center and the library, I believe. So we've calendared 4 of those, and the planning for those are still ongoing. But we're excited about those events as well. Anything, questions about budget or long-term facilities?
I do have a question about the community engagement events. Is there any way we could expand the venues outside of Marquardt and the library?
Absolutely. And if you have ideas, certainly we're open to that. You can share them with me when we connect.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah. I think the more that we can expand that footprint, the better.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
And as we get into the conversations more, probably starting to transition as we're transitioning away from the planning and into a resolution, right? This committee in the past has taken over the planning of those types of events and discussion points. And so we may want to, at the next meeting of planning, really make sure we agenda that for a deep discussion as to what kinds of things do we want to put out there to the community during these events, where would they be, if there are other kinds of events or other things, we can take Mr. Bull's timeline out for referendum planning. He's got a number of things scheduled on that as well. And Melissa Lampe will then also be here. So just know that that's going to be, at our next meeting heavily.
Okay.
As we go from November into a resolution into getting those events going, we're going to have some discussion.
Okay.
I'll put that as an action item, and then I'll put it on our shared document.
Okay, perfect. Julie.
When you say their calendars, that I'm assuming that means they already have a date.
Yes,
Will we be apprised of that date soon?
absolutely.
Those dates?
I can share them now, and I'm guessing that Dr. Burke would also have it in his monthly updates for the full board meeting. But I can share them now if that's helpful.
Right, and they'll be in the this month's board meeting where I do my director or superintendent's report. That last slide is always calendar dates. They'll be on there.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Given the timeline for when perceptions may be ready for a particular survey, do we anticipate perhaps maybe having an engagement event where members of the community can either participate in taking the survey or also, just try to fill them in on any questions they may have about the particular options?
Yeah, that'll be a little bit of science discussion.
Okay.
With them.
All right. All right.
Good conversation. Any other questions? All right, and then the last update is around Board of Education communications. Melissa Lampe, Tammy, and I are scheduled to connect September 16th. And we're going to use that time to debrief and plan about how to really share the work of the board with our community and our staff. And we don't know what that looks like at this point, but we're gonna brainstorm some ideas. And I think it'd be fair to say that we bring those ideas back to the planning committee before we execute them. But we're gonna brainstorm some ideas and then bring it back here for a larger discussion.
And, can I just add, if you guys have ideas, possibly sending that to Jason or myself, so we can bring those ideas up with Melissa to see if those are feasible for the district to execute, and kind of get ahead of the ball instead of behind it, as it pertains to messaging the community.
Okay. Did you say this is on September 16th?
Yeah, that's when Melissa, Tammy and I will meet
Oh, that's when
to
you're
do
gonna-
that kind of
Okay.
brainstorming, and then we'll bring it to the next
I
plan.
was kind of assumed to try to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I have a little bit more context on that? I mean, it seems like a very broad thing. I mean, what kind of communication are we talking about with Board of Education communication? Are we talking about Board of Education communication to the public, school district communication out to the public? Are we talking about communication like internally, or I'm just.
We're talking about externally to the public.
Okay,
Right, cause we would like to assist the district in sending out positive messaging about the board to the community.
okay,
So we're touching base with Melissa, since she is the person that coordinates all of that, to discuss ideas about bringing up positive changes the district has maybe seen since some implementation of new policies or new practices that were, spearheaded by a board member and was implemented, and these are the changes we've seen. It's really just very broad right now, right? Like, we don't have any,
okay.
I say zero direction at this point. We're just at the infancy of the idea.
Like Tammy surfaced the idea a couple months ago or a month ago, and so absolutely we can talk about it, but let's bring Melissa into the conversation. That's her expertise, and we're scheduled for that. I think that's next week to just brainstorm, and we'll bring that here.
Okay.
So that'd be next week, Tuesday, correct?
Yes,
Okay. What time?
great question. I will have to check.
I think I got it written down here. It is at 1 p.m. It would be virtual. It wouldn't be in person.
Okay.
I mean, you're welcome to attend, but.
I'd be here.
It's between 3.
Like,
Right, cause I'm planning, I had brought it up to Jason, and Jason said we can definitely bring that into a planning discussion, but we should rope Melissa in to share the idea so we can bring solid ideas to the committee.
Okay.
You guys have concerns? Please share, please.
Yeah, when I try virtual, I don't have much success.
If you want to join me in my office.
Your office?
Yeah.
I would, sure.
I
You
should,
always have treats, if I remember right.
I usually steal them from other places, but
yeah,
yes, we can find you some treats.
what do you want? You like salt, salty?
The crowd you want in it.
I mean, you're welcome. I mean, anyone's welcome. If we get to a certain number, we'll have to post it as,
Right,
as a
as a
meeting.
meeting.
But right now, the plan was Tammy, Melissa and I, but if you're interested, let me know. And just let me know, and then I'll send you an invite, and that'll be the governor for.
Why don't we post it just to be on the safe side? Cause I think
Sure,
there's tendency, it sounds like there's an interest in some people.
Sure. do that. Right. I will work with Lynn to get it posted, but if you do have interest, just for planning purposes, to know who's gonna join us, just let me know, or Tammy know. And then, we'll have it, I'll send you the invite. Okay. Those are the updates for tonight. Any other questions? All right. We're gonna move us along to discussion, if that's okay. There's a link document in there in our board docs there, and Angel will have it up here. I also have hard copies if anyone wants it. Hard copies if anyone wants it. And so just some context of where this is coming from. Interested in hard copies?
Yes.
Part-time?
I give you that.
I'm good. Okay.
That's first.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so just a reminder or context of where this is coming from. Over the summer, we had some conversations mostly at Ed Services, but at the full board as well, around our e-campus contract renewal. And part of that conversation was the idea to have a Board of Education liaison join the governance board of eCampus and Endeavor. And so this is coming from that. And tonight, really thinking about two things. One is to talk through as a group about this vision for this, to add some clarity and context to that liaison position, and also to hopefully identify that liaison because our first meeting's coming up. So it's really twofold, our discussion. And so this document that you have in front of you is really my attempt to just add clarity to that liaison role. So everyone that's participating has clarity on what that liaison role is. And when I was creating this, I was really thinking about Dr. Burke's work with the Board of Governance. And what I mean by that is last year, Dr. Burke joined every governance board meeting. And we agenda Dr. Burke's presence there. And Dr. Burke did a lot of listening, asked some questions, answered some questions, not a voting member of the Board of Governance, but there for a lot of listening, answering questions, providing some updates. You know, when we're in the referendum, he would inform the group about the referendum, answer any questions. And so that kind of set the tone for my creation of this. And so I won't read things to you, but there are 5 bullets there that I would envision really governing or providing context and guidance for that board liaison. And so with that, I just take any feedback about this vision, any suggested revisions. And again, the goal is just to add clarity. Please.
This is, I just want to make sure that I'm right on this. I know that Endeavor is a charter school, so it has it has a board. Does eCampus, is it also considered a charter school with its own board, or is there one board over the 2 of them?
It's a great question. So they're both charter schools, right? And they have a combined board, which is something that when I entered this district has been in the process. So combined board, great question. Thank you.
Yeah, by law, I don't know if everybody on here understands how charter schools work. Well, they have their own board. I mean,
There's have a school within school.
It is. And
well, it's a kind of a mini,
Yeah.
it's really independent, I mean, in some way.
Do you have an idea what the time commitment for this liaison would be?
yeah, so the governance board of eCampus and Endeavor meet on even months, October to April. So that means October, December, February, April. And so it's really 4 months of meetings. We meet on the 3rd Monday. And we meet from 1:30. We usually are done by 2:30. We say that those board meetings are virtual or face-to-face. Typically what happens is Angel and I sit in this boardroom and we're the only people that are in this boardroom. Everyone else connects virtually, but we have both options. Face-to-face or virtual. Yes, please.
So I have a question. This looks like your role because you're already doing this and you report back to us. Isn't this duplication of effort here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't see it as a duplication of effort because I think the idea of a liaison really sprung from conversation about the contract. But just like Dr. Burke joining it, I think there was a gap, right? And the gap is presence, visibility, and being that conduit. I could certainly speak to the board, but I think there's just an opportunity for a board member to speak for the board. And so I think it's a little different.
Jason, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that this board constituted Endeavor and eCampus. So this was done by this board at some point in the past, so I think that's why it's not a duplication.
So the role seems like a directive. I think that this sounds very, symbolic. And that's it. What do you think? Want to clarify or disagree?
So I think, from what I remember from the conversation, there were some questions board members brought up during the contract negotiation and the way to fill that gap. So this board felt informed of the ongoings of the charter schools in the district was to get a board liaison, a member of our board, to sit in on their board meetings. So somebody from our body could update us on what was going on with the decisions that they are making throughout the year.
Okay,
So we have like a better understanding outside of just the contracts that come to us to sign.
okay, so it's informational.
Yeah, it's my
Other set
understanding.
wise.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding of how we got to this point.
That's why I took it. Yeah.
Alright, that makes sense. Second set of eyes sounds useful.
In addition, just a reminder that we also, the eCampus and Endeavor will be coming to Ed Services 4 times a year to bring some fresh data. And the first time we're calendared to do that is in October. And so it's kind of a two-pronged approach.
So I would say, for the last 3 years that I've been here, going on my 4th as superintendent, there have been some discussions of the board wanting to understand just how the aims of each charter school independently, and through the combination of our boards together, work towards the same general direction as our board, right? Because our board issues them a contract, right? And in order for us to ensure that they, as part of the district, yet separate, because they have a separate board, are working together, having some assurity that we understand and know what's going on there. It's a good part of the reason why last year I said, well, I'm going to start just coming to these meetings then, so I can also help be a conduit from that messaging, because it used to be Dave Vitale, and then when Jason came on, and then I'm like, well, I'm going to add a little layer of support to that. I was the one who suggested maybe for this board to have some understanding, just having somebody in the room so we understand and see, and then we can also say, here's how that can align with what this board is doing. As a board member, talking about the things that are important to you as a board, to that board, it's just going to be another level of better increased communication. Because if we're going to have an entity that people see as aligned and represents us, we want to make sure that there's some alignment there to, vision, goals, and strategies. Part of it was around like assessment and data and how do we keep track of kids and all those kinds of things. And that was just why I said maybe we should have a liaison position. And it seemed to have gotten some traction from the board at that time. And that's why we're trying to develop the confines of what does that look like. I hope that gives you a little history.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I was having trouble figuring out why the role was different from Jason's, and that explains it. Yeah.
I think it also, a board member listens with different ears.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the nature of our position.
Yeah.
Did you have a question, Linda?
Yeah, so how many people are on that board, please?
We have 7 members.
7 members,
Mhm.
and what is their tenure of, what is it, appointment or election?
It's really appointments.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what's their?
So that's a great question. I would have to check. We have 2 new members because our board president has stepped down. So one of our first order of business in October will be to identify a new board president. So we have 2 new members coming, but the remaining 5, Angel, please correct me if I'm wrong, have been on that board as long as I've been in the district, which is the start of my 3rd year. but I'd have to check their tenure.
Go ahead, Carl.
Who appoints them?
Yeah, it's really, kind of word of mouth, to be quite honest. In the past, what we've done is, there's some literature that we ask folks to fill out, kind of an application process. And then in the past, what we've done is the board president and I have sat with that person that has expressed interest and talked about the vision of eCampus and Endeavor, and talked about their vision for those schools and what they see as their role as a board member, and then we welcome those folks. Quite honest.
Go
Please.
ahead, Carl.
So what would you say would be the nature of the oversight of the Board of Education over the, charter?
This Board of Education?
Yes,
The board over the charter.
that's correct.
I see the Board of Education overseeing the charter in a way that is governed by the contract. I see that different to the liaison position. Right? The role of the board is to ensure that the contract is being executed as outlined and being a good partner. That's different for me than a question about the liaison position. The liaison position I see as being a member of a team that's talking about learning, teaching, assessment, and being a great partner.
But also making sure that those visions, right, have alignment between their board and our board. And that's a lot what I did with my role when I went to those last year, was just saying, here's some of the things that's important to our board and what we're working on. Sounds like you're working along similar lines. Here's some of the things that we can talk about as we're sharing and we're working through those things. But really, like Jason said, the only oversight that you have is control over the contract and things within the contract, right? And the review that you do annually with that contract and those discussion points within the contract. Yes.
So it's an annual contract,
No, it's a 3-year contract.
3-year.
It's been a 5-year. Through the summer, the eCampus contract was renewed for 3.
Go ahead, Carl.
Can we have a copy of that contract?
Yes, it's been part of, the board meetings, but I can send one separate.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anybody else questions? Oh, go ahead, Fred.
Governing board, each charter school shall be governed by a governing board that is party to the contract with the authorizing entity. No more than a minority of the governing board's members may be employees of the charter school or employees or officers of the school district in which the charter school is located. The statute seems to indicate that a school board member can be a member of the governing board as well. Just a,
You read state statutes, right?
that's correct.
There are right now 4 people on that board. 1 an alumni, 3 Endeavor parents, and Anthony Moss with Moss Brothers Construction is the chair. Our
He
president.
has stepped down. Yeah.
He's recently stepped down.
Donated,
He stepped down.
He stepped
Yeah, he
down.
recently stepped down.
donated.
Yes.
Do you have somebody in mind to fill that spot already?
President?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
Oh, you haven't received any applications yet?
No, I think similar to what we navigated at the board level here, we'd be looking for a nomination. And then someone to support that, and then we'd take votes. That's what I plan to do in October.
Okay.
He stepped down as board president. Did he just step out of the role completely? He's no longer on that board. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
He's gonna be, I hate to use this term because it might sound like an attorney might say it, but he's gonna be of counsel to the board. Like he's gonna still give
It's
counsel.
consulting.
He's consulting.
So kind of an emeritus status.
I'm pretty, but But really, he wants to not really be much emeritus, right?
Right, right.
But he wants to make sure that it gets transitioned.
How long is the term?
Um,
The term to serve on the board, the board
The
president?
liaison.
Yeah, no, the president, the board itself. And the person that you're looking for
Officer.
nomination, how long is that term?
Oh, there are no real terms for the Board of Governance. Are you asking about the liaison as well? Or no?
I'm trying to get
Oh.
a sense of what this board looks like.
Oh.
And if somebody wanted to be on the board, that's the first question they would ask.
Sure.
How long is this committee?
I'm assuming though, you would be taking applications to be on the board and then the remaining, like all 5 members would vote on who would be the president, right? Would be.
Yes, yes.
And then the liaison, that's a good question too. So how long is the liaison?
Yeah, this is new, right? This is coming from this summer, and so I would look for the team for guidance on if that's a 1-year term, 3-year term, that's up for
So,
discussion. But
Members are 3 years, right? 3-year term. So a liaison could be 3 years.
absolutely,
Continuity is somewhat important here.
yeah. Mhm.
I mean, I guess I could see this as like once a year during board reorganization, the board, would take nominations, for that type of position.
Yeah, we've had liaisons in the past to other boards within our community, like the Family Center and, so on. Where this board has been asked to have a liaison come sit on one of their boards. That's partly where the idea came from, was like, well, I know that, we've done that for other places. I think it would be good to do it with this one. And would really be a good connection between this board and the function and the things that they're doing at that board, so.
All right.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It's pretty chill.
I was gonna say, I thought, for sure.
Yeah.
So. What mechanisms have we established as a board also for review of an annual review of the contract to make sure that the charters are staying true to their contract, the metrics within their contract?
I guess my approach has been, or my thinking has been since our contract conversations, is that would be part of those ed services updates, that we would be bringing fresh Endeavor and fresh eCampus data.
Okay.
And that I believe the contract also outlines that throughout the course of this school year, that a data dashboard would be established in which we can regularly revisit and take a look at that data.
Okay. So I'll have to take in.
Well, given what we know so far, anybody interested in the liaison position?
If I didn't work between 1 and 2:30, I would, but
Okay,
I'm not on the planning committee. I don't know if it's open to everybody or
I believe it is.
So
yeah, I think
everybody.
it's to the whole board.
I think it gives us a good opportunity to see what's going on. And
Absolutely.
I've not seen a contract.
Yeah, I wrote that it's a to-do. You can find it in board docs now, but I'll forward a
Yeah.
PDF of that.
Sorry, if you sent it, it went.
Yep, so
It's in board docs labeled,
eCampus contract, I think it was finalized July's board meeting, I think. But I'll send it to Lynn and ask her to forward it to all board members.
Thank you.
You will?
That's for both eCampus and Endeavor.
Yeah, I can do both, yeah.
So you're looking for a liaison that does both, right?
It's one board that covers both charters. but
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Interesting. And that was just part of the state statutes require it's a state requirement to have that governance board. We can't just say that, yeah, never mind. I read the statute just recently.
There was a number of, meetings that we discussed it. The attachment would be on the May 19th meeting, which was the original, contract. And let me see if I can find the approval. July 26th minutes, I believe, have the number one. But if you go into the magnifying glass, the search kind of thing, and just type in eCampus contract, you can look for, is in the, you scroll down, you'll see attachments and you'll find it there.
Yeah, I'll find the Endeavor and eCampus contract, now let's send it forward to all members of the board. Any interest in a liaison position this time, or we can bring it to the full board?
Some preliminary interest.
Okay.
Then I would be,
That's what I like to see, ladies, fighting for the role.
Yeah.
if Lori is sure she wants it.
I would be, I think you're probably a better fit. But I would be interested in supporting you.
We're all interested in supporting you, Joanne.
I would like to come and learn from you, having been an administrator, I feel like you have some unique expertise and experience that I don't have, and I would love to learn about that.
Is that fine with, that arrangement fine with everybody?
Yes.
Oh, please, take this role.
I think.
Well,
that'd be great.
it doesn't look like it's super, I mean, you mentioned it's October, December, February, and April. And the reason I was smiling when you said 1:30 to 2:30, look how long our committee meetings go, let alone our regular board meetings.
Yes.
So this is, it's not a huge time commitment.
Do you have a problem with me tagging along and learning from?
I believe they're posted meetings that are over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
High
we'll-
five, ladies.
I'll move forward with you two, and then if there's any questions or anyone else is welcome, but we'll start sending some communiques.
I'd definitely be interested in, I mean, and now I know when they meet, and do they meet in here basically, or?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we always say it's face to face or
Yeah.
virtual, just like a board meeting. Angel and I are typically the only ones sitting in here,
Sure.
Even I'm in my office.
but thanks for the
Sure.
presenting, so.
Sure.
Cindy.
Visitors are required to bring treats.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So-
So never show up.
I'll
So,
be hiding in the back.
yeah. So we'll start putting in some communications, and then, all are welcome for sure, but appreciate it. That's all I have there.
All right, so we have the collective commitments. This is the first of two discussions prior to us moving forward with voting tentatively at the monthly board meetings. On the collective commitments. Now at the meeting of the chairs, there was discussion about adding a commitment on there that, about us dressing business casual. So that will be part of this discussion, how everybody feels about that, and if they have any feedback on the collective commitments draft and any revisions that you think we should make.
I only made one hard copy of that. I can make some more if anyone's interested.
So this isn't changed for me.
No, the only thing that was added to the discussion, Craig, was what was discussed on Monday about adding, business casual.
Gotcha.
I do.
Soliciting.
I thought that you
Yeah.
had suggestions.
Hmm.
Well, if you don't recall them, then we're all
Not,
good.
not really, other than, well, was there another one that we,
No, there was the initial like slideshow where we had the raw data, and then this is what came out from last Thursday's meeting.
Or Wednesday.
Wednesday.
We'll
go.
Yep, and this is the draft that was done, and then we're meeting tonight to discuss it further to see if anybody wants to make any adjustments, and then we'll have one more opportunity at the board meeting on the 22nd to make any adjustments if needed, and then vote if these are gonna be our collective commitments or not.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I see, I got it kind of.
Window 3, just not capitalizing P, pausing, cause it's not,
We're window 3.
window 3 listening,
Oh, okay.
not capitalized P.
Oh, and.
Oh,
after the-
not
After the
capitalized.
colon.
Okay.
I'm fine with these, but I've got opinions about the business casual.
Okay, let's, open the floor to discussion, Lauren.
So our role as board members is different from teachers. Teachers are professionals that go to a professional office every day, like, Dr. Burke. Students are, they are students, but they have to, they benefit from dressing appropriately for their role as students. So I support the dress code that we have and how the administration has been handling that. But board members are elected from the community, from all different roles of life or walks of life. And if you have somebody, we have a lot of meetings. And if you have somebody who, gets done at the machine shop and they need to come to a meeting as soon as they're done, they should be able to be dressed as appropriately as they were for work. For the board meeting. And I think that you have to respect those different roles in the community as elected officials and realize that each one of us in these many different facets of life have something to bring to the table here. And I think forcing the business casual is a bit tone deaf on that level. That's what I have to say.
I guess I'll piggyback on that. I agree with Lori in the sentiment that we're supposed to be a reflection of our community, right? I want the community to look at this board and see a reflection of their community, not an extension of district administration if we went to a business casual dress. Now, I'm comfortable with, like Julaine and David tend to dress more professionally. And I support that because there are many people in the community that do dress professionally. But there are also people in the community like myself or Lori that tend to dress down more. And I would like the community to look at this board and see we are diverse. And we're working on doing what's in the best interest of the community. I don't want it to turn into where they look at us and they see like we're an extension of district administration.
I guess I don't disagree with anybody on this. It's not like I said, I don't really feel like it's a hill to die on. I think it's one of those things where I mentioned at the meeting of the chairs that, if anything, something to keep in the back of your mind, that people are watching and they are expecting us to be professional, not only in our behaviors, but also in our appearance. So to me, I really don't care what that looks like, but the people that we serve, I don't know, I approach this type of position with a lot of respect for the community. And I choose to try to model that behavior and appearance as well. But I'm not gonna, it's not a hill for me to die on. So,
Evidently, the hill's never been in service.
Can you elaborate, Carl?
Yes, because when you're in service, you wear the uniforms they tell you to wear. And when you become a civilian, as I am now, I appreciate the fact that I can dress any way I like to. And if I offend somebody, I wish they'd tell me immediately.
Well, these
And
are,
I'll correct it amongst the board.
well, these are collective commitments, so
Well, I agree with, Carl in that, you definitely, you don't wanna go out of the house looking homeless, but, I think that it's important to be able to reflect who you are in the community.
Well, I do think we have a measure of. Well, I think the conversation is reflective of the culture. This conversation is right here, reflective of our culture. Churches are fine with jeans and shirts with, polo shirts or t-shirts or whatever. That may not make me very happy, but okay, I'm glad they're in church, So I personally not sure that this should even be in the commitments thing. I think that there should be a level of personal concern that how we appear to the board is appropriate and how we appear to the public is appropriate. That Carl, that may be different for you, from me, from Dave or Linda or any of the other board members. I do think that we are in a position where a number of people are observing us very closely and making judgments about us. And when I'm in those kinds of situations, I tend to say, okay, well, what are things that I can do to let them know I'm serious? To let them know I mean business. I'm here on purpose for a purpose. And that I take my work here as seriously as I take my vocational work. And so I think there's lots of room for individual differences. And I honestly would not put it in the commitments. I think we just should have a personal standard, and the standard, if board member A is comfortable with his or her personal standards, we all live with it, and I think there's some lines that should be appropriately drawn, but they don't have to be, so.
would you mind elaborating on like the lines that you would personally draw?
I don't think sweatpants are appropriate for a board meeting.
Okay,
I think sweatpants are great for the gym, for a walk outside, for sports, for different things. But I think jeans are fine. I think khakis are fine, and cargo pants are fine, and those kinds of things. But I think sweatpants and things like that, it conveys an entirely different message in my way of thinking. So, but if everybody else thinks it's appropriate, then okay, I'm not gonna die on the hill,
yeah.
because it's not gonna change.
Well, I'm not gonna die on the hill either, but you go to a town meeting and you got a bunch of farmers there, they're in bib overalls and shirts, and they're coming off their chores. Are we any different than a town board?
No, but I can't speak to how like the town board dresses. Okay, I'll be honest, I have not been to a meeting,
I understand that.
so I can't speak to how, like, if they have that decorum.
I've been there, so I know what they dress like, and a lot of them are farmers, and they come because they got chores to do, and they gotta get to their meetings, so they got a pair of bib overalls on with a shirt, Not that we would do that, because there's no farmers, I think, on the board.
I mean,
No, okay,
Yeah,
but I mean,
I think that discussion of, what is the role of the board or even, administration have, in this community, and you guys are discussing how to be relatable, right? I know that in this community, me dressing like this, and I've got a shirt on and I can roll down the sleeves for when I'm having to do business with more business people. But I will tell you that, the parents that come into my office, if I was in a suit and tie, I would not be relatable to them, right? And so I'm hearing you guys talk about wanting to be relatable. The question that is coming to the table is, do we want to put an indicator out there that says this is how we intend to do it? Or do we want to just have a conversation about what do we think is relatable and just move on? But I appreciate that the board has always let me dress more relatable to those I serve, right? And I try really hard to make that. I mean, if there's days that I'm at the Chamber of Commerce and I'm presenting, you guys have seen me. I dress up for the part, right? I'll put on a jacket or whatever, or a tie. But if I'm not there, and I'm on the day to day, and I may be having to talk with parents or whatever else, I'll have a polo on or a shirt like this, and whether I roll up the sleeves or not. I mean, I appreciate that. There's other school districts where you have to wear that 3-piece suit every day, right? Because that's what's expected there. But that's not this community.
And I don't think we should spend more time discussing that. I'm not on the committee, but I would not add it, my recommendation as board member would be not added to the commitments.
Just to give my voice a little bit here. When this came up, this meeting, I thought, why are we talking about that particularly? Although Julian and I have the same aspect of thinking about going to a meeting. No one dresses better than Jason anyway.
That's right. Well, I do some days. No,
It's in my office.
A friend of mine who moved from a different place, which is a more upscale place, and he's living in Watertown now. His take on the community, this is a blue collar community.
Oh, yeah.
And so being relatable, I think, is really important, Jared. I think that's what you're talking about. And I don't think we need to, I'm with Jillian, I don't think we need to even put this in here. We didn't discuss this the other day when we were talking about it.
No.
And so I think we can trust each other, although there will be some who will be looking for, how did you dress on the board and how you expect us to dress, and you're not dressed that way. That has already come up.
I
And
understand that, but
keep that in mind.
I want you to know that, like, even when we talk with staff, like Margaret had a meeting of the support staff, administration in this building, right? Today, and she talked about dress code, right? And it was her chance to update this building about the new dress code. And the topic came up about different levels of dress expected, right? We know that the student dress is different than our staff dress. One of the things is they have some laws for free speech that we can govern speech for employees that we're paying, right? And that's been a longstanding law. And so, some parts of the student dress is even a little bit freer than some parts of the dress that we're asking of our staff. Same with you. You are elected officials, right? You are not part of the staff. You are a governing board. And so they don't have the same application. I do understand, the idea that they're looking to you as the head of this organization, right? The community are, and to whatever level you think you should dress for that is up to you. Right now, I'm hearing you think relatable dress should be where it is. And if you do have a commitment of any kind, it could be with that you will have a commitment to dress relatable to the people you serve. I mean, if you're going to have one, or if you don't even need to say that, just don't have one.
I think we should just not put it in there and move on, because this is way too much time that we're spending on this whole
That was my
topic.
thought exactly.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah.
it's not really factor. I don't really think anybody is being offensive to the public with their attires.
I think it was a good conversation,
Yeah,
because here's the thing, that's what collective commitments are about. It's about communicating, how do we run together? Like, how do we view each other? How do we make sure that business happens? And if this was a thing that was in the back of even one of your minds about, what public view you as, or how you relate to policies versus staff relating to policies. All of those conversation points that we had were good conversation points about how we function. And so I'm glad we did have the conversation. I don't think it was a waste of time at all.
Okay, so if nobody has any feedback for the draft, if maybe everybody could look it over a couple times before the 22nd, that way if they want to make any adjustments to the collective commitments, because I believe the timeline is for us to vote at the board meeting if we're gonna implement the collective commitments. So if you have no feedback today, just make sure you look it over once or twice before the 22nd. So we can make adjustments if needed prior to us voting the commitments in.
Tammy?
Yeah,
And
please.
then we're gonna,
Yeah, I know the on-cap, the P.
but then we're gonna keep primary commitment and then I'm just saying, we're removing all windows and we're keeping those subtitles though that we talked about last Wednesday to define each of the commitments areas.
I think that we do plan on keeping the headers that were created, like primary commitments, governments, but we'll probably remove the window reference because that was for the raw data.
But just, yeah, it's just
Yeah, you'll take that out.
confirming that.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
So just for clarification, I think what you're saying is there'd be a primary commitment and then the commitment, and then it would say governance and then that commitment, for example, is that right?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Governance, readiness, listening.
Am I correct in assuming we got till 6:30 roughly?
3:45.
Okay, can I ask a question about
Please.
this? Window number 1, we will focus on governance, supporting effective management by asking administration for full documentation and data, which the board will use with discernment to craft shared objectives. Can I ask some clarification on what we intend that to mean?
So please, anybody who was there, correct me. We had combined multiple slides. There was one window that said, we will not manage, we will govern. And our goal was during this meeting on Wednesday was to condense everything down to less than 10 commitments for the board. So combining those lines, we got we will focus on governance. From that where we will govern and not manage. And support effective management by asking administration for full documentation to ensure that, to avoid us not asking for the appropriate data. Like, we need to focus on making sure we ask for the appropriate data for administration to answer our questions, because it's much harder for the board and administration if they don't know what we're gonna ask for until the meeting, and then they had to postpone until the next month because we didn't initially ask for that data we were looking for until they presented to us.
Well, to me, when you say that, that could be a very large subjective set of data. Essentially, when you ask that, could we possibly consider wordsmithing that in such a way that we, by asking administration for all meaningful data for which the board will use discernment and craft the shared objectives? I mean, because what is full data?
But now we're moving into discern what the board finds as meaningful.
I think that's gonna happen anyway, because when you ask the administration a full documentation and data, it's gonna be nearly impossible for them to provide every article of information that you might be seeking.
You think it will be difficult for administration to provide us the data that we're seeking? Cause I don't think that I don't have a problem, I don't think it will be a problem for them to collect the data we're seeking if we're clear in the delivery of what we're looking for.
Well, I kind of wonder if by that statement, you might be asking the administration to read your mind, you know, because that data is so,
Clarify,
Yeah.
that was from my notes. And, what I was going for is that, you know, in some of the meetings that we've had, we're asked to make a decision and we're given a certain amount of information.
Mhm.
And then we start asking questions and pulling threads, and pretty soon we're like, oh, we're missing a piece of information. Oh, we're missing another piece of information. And the commitment was to make sure we have all the pertinent information. Now,
I think the words that you just said there
there's a
are very valuable, all pertinent information.
that'll work.
Well, I think the emphasis was on asking.
Yeah.
It wasn't demanding, it was
Yeah.
asking, and the onus was on us.
Yeah,
We tried to keep in mind as we worked on this, that this is what we were committing to,
Right, exactly.
that we would commit to asking for
for certain things.
full pertinent, because I agree with Lori, I've been in already, not quite 3 months on the board, and I've been through several meetings where, and they weren't bombs, but information came up late in the discussion, almost as we were ready to have a decision made, and a piece of information came out that nobody was aware of. And so, that's the way the reason we put that in there, I think, was we made sure we used the word ask, so that we were the responsible entity for getting the information we want.
We're asking administration for full documentation. And we have to think of the right questions to ask sometimes,
For what we intend to be full, whatever we need to be full document.
because what they think is.
Is pertinent or full
pertinent
or
may
what?
not be different than what we think is
Right.
But it's our commitment. so-
Right, and I'm happy to adjust the wording,
I
by
just-
all means, correct.
I just don't know if
You
that
just
puts,
asked for clarification.
yeah,
so-
no, and I just don't know if that puts our administration in an untenable situation. Provide
What do you-
Well, how
information
do you
that,
guys
What do you
feel
think,
about
Jay?
that?
Well, here's how I read it. I read it that, one, that this group, is saying, we're gonna really strive to, work on governance, right? And that, we are going to do that by asking administration for everything that we need to do that. Right? And in doing that, that'll keep us away from wanting to get into management activities. Because we will be fully informed, we will have everything that we need to make decisions, and we can go forth and conquer. That's how I read it. That's what I was reading your commitment to each other, and also to us as administrators, ask, right? Like, is that what you meant by that? 'Cause that's how I read it.
That's exactly what we meant.
Okay.
okay, as long as we're on the same page on what that means.
But if, yeah, as far as I know we are, but if you wanna adjust some wording, Craig, I'm open to, this is what this discussion is for.
Well,
To
and-
make sure everybody is comfortable.
Just
with the
so you
commitment.
know, the reason I ask is because you're asking me also as board president then to say, hey, this is our collective commitments, you know, based on this, and I have to go back to administration and say, you know, we have the pertinent information for the board to be able to go forward and make decisions. You know, so any more clarification that you can provide, I think is gonna be helpful for me to be successful in that role too.
I
So,
just want to reiterate though, Craig, what we said in there is that the board will take the burden of responsibility to clarify what we will ask the administration for. And then we clarified it, in my mind, even further, modified it by saying, we're going to use that data with discernment to make decisions, you know, and to do our governance. We tried assiduously to stay away from
Nice word. I like that.
demanding anything of administration. Because these are our commitments about how we will operate. And so that's why it was structured from the viewpoint of a board member or board members collectively to say, this is what we will do. We'll ask for the information we want. Now, I think what you're afraid may happen is, and I hope it doesn't, but a question comes up and says, Jason, would you please give us full documentation related to X, Y, and Z? And
And
Jason
Jason
goes,
goes, what's full documentation mean to you? Yes. No, because what would happen is Jason would come to me, right? And I would be like, hey, thank you for getting me in the loop. Board member XYZ, when you said full documentation, what are you actually looking for so that we can be helpful?
Well, I'm hoping it doesn't become that kind of a situation.
So, like, would you feel more comfortable if we switched the verbiage where it was like, we will focus on governance, supporting effective management by asking administration for pertinent documentation and data, which the board will use with discernment to craft shared objectives? You just want to remove full to imply,
No,
I'm just asking.
I like
I'm
the
open to
edit,
that.
I like the edit that you have, and that makes sense.
I like pertinent, I think it's a better descriptor than full, right?
Are we okay?
It still gives the board the opportunity to ask for more.
Exactly.
Are we okay with all per? Because that clarifies what exactly how per it is.
Well, I didn't say all pertinent. Do you want it? So right now it reads, we will focus on governance, supporting effective management by asking administration for full documentation, etc. We can change it to, we will focus on governance, supporting effective management by asking administration for pertinent documentation, etc. Or we will focus on governance, supporting effective management by asking administration for all pertinent documentation. Do you want to add the all, Linda?
No,
No.
because if the pertinent information comes back, then we have the option to ask for more. All indicates limitation, that what they gave us was all.
If you look at spell check, when you do something like that, they'll take the all away.
Then they will, because pertinent is pertinent. Pertinent includes everything you need, which is all, right?
That is his objective. So we may get information that we then have to turn around and say, we need more pertinent.
True.
And that's fine, because at that time you might need more pertinent information.
Well, I hope it would be fine because we need that ongoing kind of dialogue to make sure we have what we need.
Okay, which one is that?
Window 1 at 4 and 2, 4
Okay.
2.
Jason, I'm probably just gonna shoot you a little email for my reference, so I can,
Yep,
cause Sam has the master document.
Yep, I'm keeping the notes as well.
Okay, perfect.
So by asking administration for pertinent documentation, is that right?
Yes, it looks like window 1 and 4-2 governance, that's the one that needs to be adjusted to remove full to pertinent,
Got it.
please.
Are we done with that topic? Cause I have another question that I had, the reason it speaks out to me is one, I was one of the people who put this on, but there was a couple of them that were on the window. But also it relates to, I think, a large pillar of ours, and that's the all-in team or working as a team. Where is that reflected in here? Where was that captured to say, teamwork is important to us?
I use that word some too.
And I use
it's in
team
here.
two.
Yeah, I mean, teamwork was on a number of different windows, or things, or working as a team, and it's one of our pillars in our strategic plan. I was just wondering where that may have shown up through here.
I think it comes up in window 4, 6, 2, 7, and 9, with respectful debate, but
That's what I was gonna say as well, Jillian. I don't think we've used the word team, but if we'd like to add a commitment that specifically states team, I'm open to it. Go ahead.
I have a problem with that too.
Okay, go ahead.
So we are a very diverse board, contrary to popular belief. And I think the role again is different from the administration and the staff in that we have different ideas and different goals and issues that our constituents have brought to us and part of who we are as elected officials. I don't see us as a team in that sense. Now, we certainly work well together. but I don't think team is an appropriate word for this.
I think, where it most lands, generally with boards, is usually you see it in the statement that says, once a decision is made by the board, we will support it as a team,
Yeah, and we.
or something like
that's-
that.
That was another, I think
Right.
that's in here somewhere.
Right,
Right.
it's the first, it says we will disagree with civility and dignity, acknowledging board decisions as official action.
That was it.
Well, maybe you could say acknowledging as a team, official board as, or board decisions as official actions.
Well, the interesting thing about that one was it was meant to be very individualized. Because the discussion was that the board could come to a decision that I individually do not agree with. But we are making a commitment that as a board member, we will recognize that decision as official final board action. So that was not
Yes,
intended
but
to be.
that's different than, and I'm trying to suss this out a little bit. And it's really up to you guys as a board as to how you wanna do it. If I were to say as a member of the board, let's say I was a board member, not Jared superintendent who serves the board, right? And if the board made a decision, to do something, and I was in the community saying, the official decision of the board is this, but I want you to know, I continue not to support that.
We want you to have the right to do that.
Okay, that's not, because then, it does not conform to what I just heard you say about, that piece.
Why not? I guess.
Because,
Like, for example, like my children and I have discussed the dress code policy ad nauseum, okay? And my son will come up to me and ask me, how do you feel about such and such? How do you feel about such and such? And I say to my son, it doesn't matter how I feel, Raymond.
okay, I see.
My
if you can
board
Do it that
have
way.
made I support my board at the end of the day. I can have dissenting opinions, but they're not relevant as it comes to decisions that my board makes, and I will support my board.
Right. That sounds like a team explanation. The way I said it was not a team explanation. It was yes, I know the board decided that, but I continue not to support it.
Well, what do you mean by support?
I think that you should have a right to do that. Like if we as a board, let's say we vote, it's a 5-4 split.
Yes,
Those 4 individuals that did not agree with the motion that the board took should be able to say, I support my board and the decisions that they've made,
that's different.
but I voted against that. I personally do not support that, but I will support my board.
Okay.
Right, like they should be able to clarify. I do not want any member of the board to feel like they are hindered from speaking how their opinions. I don't think that we
Right.
should stop
You're
anybody.
getting exactly at what I'm aiming at, because if in what I said was the end of it, that's not as a team. Right? If I would have said, listen, the board's direction was this. Right? And I still don't support that, but I support their decision. That's team. If I don't say, but I support their decision, right? Then I am not working as a team. I am saying that I know we made the board made the decision, but I didn't want anything to do with it, and I still don't support it.
I think the word support is not. I think I don't agree with that. I would, if I were in that decision, I think, or in that situation, I think what I would say is, the board voted and the decision is made. I may disagree personally with it, but this is what the board has decided, and I respect that decision as a
That's
board.
as a team, right?
But I would stay
Yes.
away from the word support.
Sure,
Because I didn't
respect,
support- I
but
didn't vote for it.
But what I'm saying is, without the idea that, there is a team in that, right? That you respect the others who were in the majority in that decision, even if you weren't, is an important concept that I'm trying to talk about here, right?
I guess I need some clarification how, bullet 1 under window 4, comma 6-2, comma 7 and 9, respectful debate does not clearly indicate that we will be civil and treat each other with dignity and acknowledge official board decisions. Does not signal to the board that while we might disagree, we will do so respectfully and support, state official actions as such. I guess I would like to know if any, please, I'm open to hear.
Well, I think, go ahead, Carl.
When I hear the word team, I right away put it, in my term, it would be collective. And the word team means collective. It's a matter of a number of people. And it takes out the individualism of the word. And that's what we were trying to separate, I think.
I think Carl's right. In that first bullet point, we were trying to make sure that, and I don't remember who brought it up. I didn't, but somebody did, that we should make sure that people know they have the right to publicly say, the board took this action, I voted against it, but I do respect the decision of the board. I think what Jared is saying is that he would like to see some wording within these commitments that indicates that we are working collectively, collaboratively, and he uses the word team because that's the buzzword today. You don't talk about your staff, you talk about your team, because that implies that everybody's wearing the same uniform, we're going in the same direction, we're all going towards the same goals, we're representing the same cause. Because people like Carl and I put that into a sports, right?
Right.
Got a big Packer game tomorrow, everybody's gonna be wearing the same colors, so.
I'm gonna disagree and vote.
So, but I think that's why he's looking for something actually probably in addition to what we have.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember the discussion on this. And I remember it, team did not want to be used.
We had a lot of discussion on that.
We did.
Yes.
We did. Stakeholders did not want to be used.
Right, we stayed away from that.
We did that, which frankly, I wondered what was so bad about that. But, but we came to this wording anyway. So, and what Jared's saying is, we stick team in there somewhere. And, I understand the team approach. We understand it. I think you said it well, Carl, and you do it well. So I don't have a problem with that. I can't remember now why team was a bad word.
What if we go to the third bullet point? I'm just trying this on precise, okay? On the third bullet point under that same one window, Tammy, we acknowledge that good team decisions come from thorough and robust discussions. Collective decisions. Are you okay with collective versus team?
I was just putting it out there because it was part of a number of what people said,
Right.
and it didn't show up here anywhere that I could identify.
I'm just gonna tell you, Jared, you would have enjoyed the discussion.
I'm sorry I couldn't be there. And when you can't be at a subcommittee meeting, you ask it at the committee, and if you can't be at the committee meeting, you ask it at the board meeting, right? That's how it works. So I'm just asking the question. Team didn't come up. I was wondering why. Because it is one of our pillars in our strategic plan. It was on a lot of those documents, and I don't see it anywhere in this document. And I was just wondering why. You guys can tell me we just don't care, we don't want it, and I'll be like, it's your collective commitments. I was just asking a question.
Not be okay with collective. I would be okay with collaborative, but I think we have that in there.
Yeah, that's actually
issues,
our
yeah.
primary commitment is collaborating with educators to improve student achievement for academic excellence will be this board's paramount priority.
So what happens if we say collaborating as a team with educators? I don't know, I'm looking for some middle ground here that doesn't do violence to what we've done,
I'm not okay with that.
okay. I'll shut my mouth so somebody else can try that.
So Lori, you're not a team member.
I'm not a team member as far as this board is concerned.
Very good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'm a team player, but this is not
Very
my
good.
team.
Very
Sorry.
good.
Okay, so then we'll think about that. And there will be further discussion on the 22nd for possible solutions. Right? Anybody else have any feedback they wanna? No?
This is just a grammatical thing on that same bullet point we've just been talking about, under first bullet point under Windows 4, 6-2, etc. Could we add an S on action? I think because it's multiple decision, overall
Okay.
decision actions,
Yeah.
so actions.
Visual actions. Interesting discussion.
I just saw a discrepancy between the last thing I heard and talked about and what this ended up, so I thought I'd ask the question.
Well, good question.
I think we've been assiduous enough.
Situous, no,
Verbose, is that?
verbose.
Interesting.
You need anything else?
I'm seeing if you guys need anything else. Otherwise, I think that if nobody does, then we'd be moving to the action items section of the meeting. I do have the note to potentially have, alterations to discuss on the 22nd.
I have 8 action items that I've recorded from tonight.
Okay,
I can, list them. They're not in order because I missed one earlier, I believe. So I have next planning committee agenda that will talk more about the logistics and finer details of the community engagement events.
okay,
Okay. I'll try to put them in order. Next planning committee agenda will also bring back that Board of Ed communications piece that we talked about that will come from the September 16th meeting. So we'll bring whatever comes from that to this committee. I will work with Lynn to make sure that 16th meeting, the board communication meeting gets posted. I will send a copy of the eCampus and Endeavor contracts to Lynn and just ask her to share with all board members. We'll begin to share with Julian and Lori Endeavor and eCampus Board of Governance literature, just to keep you in the loop. And we will make some edits. I have 7, not 8. The next one I wrote is that we'll make revisions to the collective commitments. I have 3 revisions. One is we're gonna change full to pertinent. We're gonna uncapitalize, I don't know if that's a word, but uncapitalize the P, and we're gonna put S on action. And then we're gonna place these collective commitments on the September board agenda. Is that for strategic discussion, just for planning purposes?
I think it should be, because that's the second opportunity for any adjustments to be made prior to the board voting it in.
Okay,
And I believe it's decapitalized.
D, not on.
Yes.
Good, thank you.
I also put on cap on my notes here, on cap.
I just made something up.
Yeah, so
Uncapitated.
It's the guy we know.
It's actually lowercase.
We're gonna make it lowercase. We're gonna lowercase it.
Lowercase, usually here.
Okay, the past action items. I think we're through most of it, because I believe that Jared, you've worked with CISA 6, right, for the dates process to come in?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, well, Jason and I have worked, Jason has taken the lead on, at least getting some information for the teacher part. And I got some information from, Mr. Slender, right? I'm working with, Mr. Tim, what's his name? Sure. On dates.
Okay,
And I think all to do is but
yeah, I think so as well.
take care of it.
Is there any future agenda items, any suggestions that we should add to the planning?
Yes, securing, somebody for, Robert's rules.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna have that before then or not, but, you know, the action item that we should probably add is that, that will be completed. I don't know if you want me to take the lead on it, you want to take the lead on it, Sam, whoever. I did contact a couple of different groups today,
Okay,
that were sent to me. So I hope to have something by the end of the week for us to chew on, but
okay,
I made an attempt to reach out to someone.
Okay.
I did as well.
I know, yeah, I saw that. I saw your email and said, hey, I found this thing, but it
Well,
was
no,
something
I
else.
also reached out to some legislators
Okay,
in the state legislature to see if they have any contacts for potential people that could come in and present to the board for that.
so I think we should just add it as an action item that we need to finalize that
Okay,
and maybe schedule a subcommittee meeting to go over, information that was pulled by each of us. Just
Okay.
to, you know, have a quick, maybe even virtual meeting that says, hey, here's what we found, and so on.
Just for clarification, is the action item to secure multiple quotes or is it to secure a vendor?
I think it's, we have to secure information. It might be quotes, it might not be quotes. I mean, if there's no cost. And we know one of the options that you brought up was a kind of a no cost option, but is it the
right, but
best?
that's, yeah,
Right? I mean,
but it's,
but I think it's just, I think we're back, we're stepping back to, let's gather information, right? I mean, and then we'll go from there.
yeah. Please.
I saw that the Robert's Rules of Orders, idea for professional development was out there. You know, Robert's Rules of Orders can be very, very complex.
Correct.
But there is a simplified version of Robert's Rules of Order, and I would encourage us to, whoever we bring in, that they at least know about it and can present it, because
That's
it
what we're
really
aiming
does
for. Yeah,
streamline.
whenever there's a group of under 20 or, right, either the simplified version is better. Exactly. So, but we want to start,
I got the book.
yeah, we want to start there. Somewhere in there to say, how can we, move things through meetings and everything else?
Cause like, oh, so, yeah, we did secure Dave Anderson, who used to work at the Capitol as the lead parliamentarian. But unfortunately, he passed away unexpectedly.
New day.
And then, we did also make a contact when we went to, through, School
SBA.
Board of Academic Excellence. The quote was a bit high, and at one point, the School Board of Academic Excellence was considering, gifting the district the cost for that professional development, because they connected them with that person. But we just found out yesterday that that has fallen through. So now we're trying to get some quotes together for the committee to make a decision with what vendor we should go with to get that training. That's where we're at.
Sure.
I have contact that can reach out.
Perfect. Perfect.
If you want, you can just send it to me and I can call and follow up. I mean, yeah, we all don't need to be chasing down. I'll be happy to make any connects or calls.
It's somebody who
follow up.
arranged the, Robert's Rule of Order seminar that I went to, so I have to find out who it is from.
Okay, wonderful. Once you find out, let me know and I'll make a connect. You know, there's a person who teaches the course from Texas. It's an online course for University Extension. That name was forwarded to me. Obviously WASB does this work, but I don't know how much they charge. So I'm following up on like 3 different leads. So if you have that, I will follow up on that one too, and I'll just bring any information I have, together and
Sure.
we'll
I'll get
discuss
that to you.
which is the best and why, right? But,
Please, Dan.
Can I ask you about, number 9 on our past action item?
Yes, let's do it. Let
Okay,
me pull it up. I did, yes. So that has been discussed. Margaret and Jared and I discussed it in our planning meeting for HR, so that will be coming up this month because we will be discussing the school calendar.
yeah,
So, part of that discussion will be the request for looking into the fiscal analysis as well as any other potential adjustments the board might want to see to the calendar so that Margaret can bring that to us and we can have, the
a full
27.
discussion.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, have the 27-28 calendar approved by, because there's a cutoff, like it has to be approved by.
End
a
of
certain-
December.
By the end of December. So it is, yep, the ball's rolling.
all right, good, thanks.
That is if we wanna make any type of amendments to the already approved
No,
calendar.
no, this would be for the 27-28 calendar.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, you can always make amendments to a standing calendar that's been approved,
okay,
right? That's a little, easier and shorter discussion than to talk about major changes that would occur in any calendar. And sometimes it is a major change, even though it's something we have to implement, right? Like, if something happened and we needed to, close a building down,
yeah,
right? We could ask the DPI for emergency to change our calendar and then just change like next year's start calendar because something, let's say, God forbid, a tornado hit the gymnasium at Webster, right? And we needed to do some quick construction over the summer, but it was gonna go into September, halfway through September, so we wanted to change our start date later. That's right. You can always do those kinds of things. But what we're talking about is like a larger, maybe, different changes that may, also be fiscally beneficial or other things.
Okay.
Right, those would come in the next calendar up for discussion.
Yeah, like.
The next one is 27-28.
During the meeting, Jared had used an example that at one time the board had the district looked into if we did a whole year calendar, right? Like where there isn't a summer vacation, but it's, like 6 weeks on,
3 weeks off,
like
so-
a full year calendar.
Yeah, and they presented what that would look like. So there's a lot of different options over the years that, the teachers have, worked with the committee, to research and bring information back to the board. That would be one option that you guys would ask for. What would that look like? How would we structure it? What would the cost savings be? All that would be part of that information.
Sure.
You like that?
So any other questions, guys, about any other past action items or future agenda items? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no.
That is a no.
So the meeting's adjourned at 6:32 PM.
So we got another meeting in about 15 minutes. Anybody who was interested in taking a dinner break, we've got that set up in the